I always thought love was the most sacred thing, something you could only give and receive without questions when it came from family. My grandmother, Evelyn, had been the heart of our family for as long as I could remember. After my parents' divorce, she was the one who held me together, who stayed awake at night when I couldn't sleep, who whispered promises that no matter what happened, she would always love me purely. And I believed her. I believed every word, because she was my safe place, my anchor in a storm that seemed never-ending. Growing up, I noticed something unusual in the way Grandma looked at me, but I never questioned it. She'd stroke my hair a little longer than necessary, hold me in her arms like she never wanted to let go, and tell me things no one else did. "You're not just my grandson, you're my soul's gift." At the time, I thought it was simply her way of expressing love after years of loneliness. After all, she had lost my grandfather early in life and never remarried. Her devotion seemed natural, even noble. But as I got older, into my 20s, things began to change. I moved back into her house after college, thinking it would be temporary while I searched for work. I didn't realize that this return would open the door to truths I was never prepared to face. The nights were long, and Grandma would often sit beside me, her hand resting on mine longer than a grandmother should. She'd compliment me in ways that felt different. "You've grown into such a handsome man, more than your father ever was." I'd laugh it off, telling myself it was innocent. But a part of me knew there was a shadow behind those words. One evening after dinner, she poured us both a glass of wine, unusual, because Grandma hardly ever drank. She seemed nervous, her eyes darting between mine and the floor, as though she was battling something inside her. "Darling," she whispered, her voice trembling, "I've kept something locked inside me for too long." My chest tightened as I waited, 1,000 possible secrets rushing through my mind. Maybe she had hidden money, maybe she was sick, maybe. But it was none of those. She reached for my hand, squeezed it, and with tears forming in her eyes, she said the words that shattered everything I thought I knew. "I don't just love you as my grandson. I've loved you in ways I shouldn't, ways I've tried to bury, but can't anymore." I froze. My body turned cold, as though the walls around me collapsed in one violent instant. At first, I thought I had misheard, that maybe the wine had twisted her tongue. But the look in her eyes told me she was deadly serious. My grandmother, the woman who had raised me, who I trusted more than anyone, had been carrying feelings that no one should ever confess. "Grandma, what are you saying?" My voice cracked, trembling between anger and disbelief. She broke down, sobbing, clinging to me like I was her lifeline. "I tried to love you purely, I swear I did. But the more you grew, the more I saw him in you, your grandfather. His eyes, his smile, his spirit. And I fell again. But this time it was you. I can't lie anymore." Her words sliced through me, leaving wounds deeper than any betrayal I'd ever imagined. I pulled away from her touch, my heart racing with confusion and disgust. This wasn't love, at least not the kind I thought she meant all these years. It was something twisted, something that blurred lines no one should cross. I spent that night awake in my room, listening to her soft cries through the walls. Memories of every hug, every whispered promise, every lingering glance came rushing back in a new, horrifying light. What I once saw as unconditional love now felt poisoned, corrupted by something darker. I wanted to scream, to demand why she had let this grow instead of seeking help, instead of protecting the bond we should have had. The next morning, she tried to act as if nothing had happened, but her eyes betrayed her shame. She made breakfast like always, placed the plate in front of me, and whispered, "I'm sorry. I just couldn't keep lying to you." But her confession had already changed everything. I couldn't look at her the same way. Every moment in that house felt heavy, suffocating, like I was trapped in someone else's nightmare. I began avoiding her, spending long hours outside just to escape the air of her guilt and my own confusion. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between us grew unbearable. She'd leave notes on my door, begging me not to hate her, reminding me of the years she had cared for me. But I couldn't answer. The woman who had once been my anchor had become the very storm drowning me. Finally, one night I packed my things. She stood in the hallway, frail and trembling, her eyes swollen from crying. "Please," she whispered, "don't leave me. I only told you because I trust you more than anyone. You are my heart." I looked at her one last time, my throat burning with unspoken words. "You said you loved me purely, I told her, my voice low and heavy. But what you confessed destroyed everything pure we ever had. And then I walked out, leaving behind the house that once felt like home but now felt like a cage of broken truths. Even now, years later, I still hear those words in the back of my mind. Still feel the weight of her confession pressing against the memory of who she once was to me. Love is supposed to protect, to nurture, to heal. But her love twisted into something that shattered not just her heart, but mine as well. Some betrayals come from enemies, some from lovers, but the deepest, most cutting betrayals come from the ones we never thought capable. The ones who said they loved us purely. And my grandma's confession proved that sometimes love, when distorted, can destroy more than hate ever could.